This is the Apple Vision Pro headset. It's going to very possibly replace the smartphone one day. How does it work? What's good about it? What's bad about it? And then most importantly, why on earth is Apple doing this?
This is a mixed reality headset.
So, how does it work?
But it is an augmented reality / virtual reality headset with a bunch of cameras and sensors inside that you strap to your face, separating this into 3 bulk categories that I made up and I'm kind of proud of here, which are computing, content, and connection.
Well, the main thing that you're going to be seeing is the screens. There's 2 of them. There's one for each of your eyes, which, you know how in the real world, each of your eyes sees things from a slightly different angle, and that's what gives things a sense of depth. This allows them to recreate that same effect, but in the digital world.
There are no controllers at all. You are controlling this thing entirely with your hands and your eyes and your voice. And there is also something they're calling optic ID, which is basically kind of just the fingerprint ID of the headset, because it's looking at your eyes, and everyone's eyes is a different unique biometric pattern. And so you log in just by putting the headset on and it looks at your eyes.
Well, the screens on these glasses have, can't even make this stuff up, 64 times the pixel density of the iPhone. That's almost impossible to even visualize. But they're doing that because even when your eyes are right up next to these screens, they don't want you to ever see an individual pixel.
Apple is using a micro OLED display for each eye. That is 4K resolution per eye, or 23 million pixels in total.
Super high resolution screens, they're 4K. I don't know if I have a number for refresh rate, but it felt like 120 hertz.
So the specs of this thing are miles above anything that a competition has. More about that soon. And because of these specs, we also have an insanely high price point.
So yes, this thing is really, really expensive, but we need to make something very clear, that this is not just a pair of movie glasses.
A roughly 4K micro OLED display for each eye, a set of speakers right above each ear on the band, and then a dedicated new R1 chip, which is doing all of the real-time processing from all the sensors that make this headset pretty special.
Price is $3,500.
So you'll notice if you look at the bottom, this thing is covered in sensors. You've got 3D cameras, you've got LiDAR scanners for depth detection and more. So the 3D cameras can continue to feed you a 3D view of the room you're in, just like your eyes would normally do. And then because you've got these depth sensors, you can place your apps within these rooms.
So you put this headset on, and basically all over the headset there are an absolute ton of sensors. You have 2 main forward-facing cameras, 2 downward-facing cameras, 2 more cameras for the sides, 2 infrared illuminators, a LiDAR scanner, a true depth camera. These are all to keep track of what's happening around the headset and also to track your hands in front of your face.
On the front, we have 6 cameras, 3 LiDAR modules, and then 2 more cameras in the bottom frame, which are able to track your hands while they're resting.
Because there's 2 cameras like front facing, they can record stereoscopic 3D. So this massive array of sensors on the outside of Apple's headset have done an impressively good job of picking up what my hand is doing, kind of no matter where it is.
You'll see them casting a shadow on your desk, or if you're watching a movie, you will see the glow from the screen spill over into your surroundings.
Is using multiple cameras and infrared sensors to track your eyes.
So then the eyes you see from the outside are actually an OLED display showing what your eyes look like to the cameras inside the headset.
And for that, the inside of the headset is lined with a second set of cameras.
First, you have to create a 3D model of your face using the front of the headset, and then the eye tracking cameras would track your eye movements and update your 3D model in real time. Lenses are state-of-the-art, specifically made for the content to be sharp everywhere you look, as usually VR headsets, they use lenses that are sharp in the middle, and then they're quite soft around the edges.
And then on the inside, there's also a bunch of infrared illuminators and infrared cameras that are purely there, just there, to track your eyes.
Can A, record your eyes, and then use its general understanding of what your face looks like to turn those eye expressions you make into a full-on photorealistic digital avatar for when you're having FaceTime calls. But then also, it can project a 3D model of what your eyes are actually doing underneath this headset to the external screen. Yes, the outside is a 3D screen too, and yes, the image that other people see will change based on the angle that they're looking at you from. you just use your fingers. Your glasses will know where your fingers are because of these cameras, which have a massive field of view. And from the moment that I first saw this, I thought, yes, this is the most natural way to interact with a VR or AR headset. And I'm so glad that you don't have to reach out and hold your hands up like this, because that's gimmicky. The fact that you can just rest it on a table or your lap and still use it, that is going to be the key to it feeling seamless.
All you need to do is use pinch gestures to select items, and then different gestures just to zoom in, zoom out, and scroll throughout the UI, and then Siri for the rest.
Anytime you move your eyes around the UI, it would immediately highlight and select exactly what you're looking at. All you do is take your fingers like this and just touch them together. That's how you click. So you look at something, click. Look at something, click.
Plus, you do also get Siri to type things with your voice, and you can also link it with your normal Apple keyboards and mice.
Running a whole new operating system called Vision OS. And it's a standalone computer with an M2 chip inside, its own Wi-Fi connection.
So we have Vision OS, which is essentially a custom OS that runs on the headset.
This is a brand new product category with a brand new operating system.
We have an Apple M2 chip inside, which seems to be actively cooled, and that handles the OS and the apps. And then we also have another chip, this is a new chip called the R1, that would handle all the processing from the cameras.
And with that, it's got its own laptop quality M2 chipset inside of it, as well as a dedicated R1 chip that's going to focus on processing the insane amounts of data from the 12 cameras, 5 sensors, and 6 mics on the thing. External battery pack that you keep in your pocket.
Why the battery isn't attached to it? That would be a ton of weight to carry on your head, so they connected the battery instead through a proprietary cable, and that actually can sit next to you on the couch or in your back pocket. And that brings us to the other thing, the battery life. 2 hours. 2-hour battery life on the headset, which is not that great.
And then we have the battery life. So you get this external battery pack, which will always need to be connected to the headset, which goes in your pocket.
The most impressive thing about this headset, the most impressive thing, is the eye tracking.
Whereas the Vision Pro would have an even more immersive screen that, even though it's smaller, will feel a lot bigger, have speakers that fire directly into my ears, it'll rest naturally over my eyes so that I don't need to hold it or prop it up to get just the right angle. And then cameras, this is where you really feel the benefit of wearing your tech. It's one button, so you can experience a moment. I mean, this is a huge deal.
I was really impressed with the responsiveness again. This was better than any headset I've seen with just your hands. If I wanted to scroll through something like a Safari window, I literally, in air, would touch my fingers together and drag the window, and it would scroll.
This headset, or the idea of this headset, catches on and becomes mainstream. That changes the entire paradigm of what it means to capture a memory.
You can just look at something, that thing would be highlighted, and then you would simply use a pinch gesture to select it.
You can just look at a search box field and just start talking, and it'll start filling in whatever you're saying because there's microphones on the headset.
This is Apple fleshing out what's very likely to become the replacement to the smartphone one day. But there are also some things that do concern me. That there's already very little separation between us and our technology. You only have to take your phone out your pocket and your screen auto turns on and you're blasted by notifications. When the device is on your face, there's no escaping it.
And then there's also this kind of weird feature where you can take 3D photos and videos with the cameras built into the headset itself.
But the key thing that I don't think any future revision of this headset could ever solve is the potential for isolation.
This is pretty heavy. This is a pretty heavy VR headset.
Cinema room is an experience for a family. This is an experience for one.
You can actually take photos and videos in 3D and then view them back on the headset. The downside is that you won't be able to share these with your family and friends unless they all have a Vision Pro headset.
And that core human connection that we've built up ever since we first discovered fire and gathered around it will start to fade. And that brings me onto the why. Why is Apple doing this?
So in the future, the iPhone will be replaced by the headset. Of course, the future version of it, likely the AR glasses, which will be coming later. But until then, the Vision Pro is Apple's vision for that future.
I think Apple is fully aware. This is not about to replace the iPhone now, but it is going to sit at the pinnacle of Apple's lineup.
But at the end of the day, this is not a product for the masses.
AR and VR are very likely going to be the next chapter in technology. And now that this is out there, the use cases for it are about to get a lot better very quickly.
Developers can now use the established game engine, which is really what Apple wants and needs. This headset needs apps to succeed.
People are just going to watch content on this thing. And I think this is the industry, now that Apple's jumping into it, that is poised to explode.